After one event, we have realized that chess is quickly becoming more important than an average hobby of our children. My daughter Lara did so well in the national championship that she won the right to represent her country in the World Junior and Cadet Championship that it was going to be held in Durban, South Africa. My wife and I were obviously very proud, but we had 100 questions. How does that work? What will we need to do? How much will it cost? Is it a national delegation thing? Do we need to travel alongside her? So if your child did great and can travel to an international championship, I'm sure you have many questions and you would like at least some of them answered before you prepare for a significant and big trip like that. Your questions might be, is it different? Does it involve any specific rules? And the short answer is yes, it is. And for the first timers, it can be a little bit stressful. After all, we are talking about the events with hundreds of children with huge anti-cheating devices and measures all around in an international setting on a very exotic location. I personally served as head of delegation for a national delegation 6 times in this type of events, and my children combined have played more than 20 of those. So I want to share with you my experience and a few helpful tips so you can prepare a little bit better. In this video, we will cover a few basics, costs that you can expect, age categories, and what do these O's and G's mean behind the category names. I will talk a little bit about time controls and about those anti-cheating measures I mentioned before. Also, you will hear about important chess rules that might be enforced a bit more than on the regular chess championships, and how communication works in these international settings. If your child is traveling to an international championship, that feels amazing. But there is a practical side of it. What are the costs? What can you expect? The first time we learned that our child is about to travel to one, we were not actually sure we will be able to cover the costs. We were a bit on the edge financially at those days. Later, we gathered some experience, and now I want to share that experience with you. What can you expect in terms of the cost? And this is what I would be sharing typically as a head of delegation with the parents traveling with me to those events. There are 3 main cost types. The first one is airplane tickets. Now that one I cannot tell you how much they are, because you can travel to a neighboring country, you can travel to the other side of the world, and these can differ significantly. In most of the cases, these are funded by parents, in my experience, in most of the federations at least. The second type of cost is hotel with full board. Now, invited children, so the children selected by their national federation to travel and represent their country at these events, typically go free. The organizer covers their cost of food and board. But the accompanying persons, like parents or any extra children, need to pay the full cost of the hotel times number of nights they are going to stay. And that can be a very significant amount in all cases. The third part of the organizational costs, of the costs that you might have there, are the fees. These are up to 200-300 euros or dollars, typically shouldn't be more. And there are 3 things. The first one is registration fee that goes to International Chess Federation. The second part is the organizational fee that goes against the organizer's bank account to cover some of the basics. And the third part are transfer fees if the venue is significantly distant to the location of the nearest airport. You might be worried how your child will communicate in these big international events. The short answer is you shouldn't be. The things are really well organized. My example from personal life showing that is my daughter, who was 7 years old and participated in her first international championships. At one point, the opponent played an illegal move, and Lara did what every chess professional would do. She stopped the clock and raised her hand to call for an arbiter. The arbiter came, and what he said, well, he couldn't speak to her, So he simply showed her to wait and went around the room to figure out is there someone who would speak her language, because he obviously saw her country card next to her name. Quickly he came back with a person that spoke a similar language as my daughter, and they resolved the issue in no time, really. So believe it, no reason to worry. The arbiters are a great crew of international professionals, and they speak a large amount of international languages. They will figure it out. Even if in an unlikely case they will not, they will find your head of delegation or someone else and make sure that your child doesn't have a communication issue, really. Related to communication with the opponents, before the game, your child can talk as much as they want, as much as they prefer with their opponent. And greeting is, of course, very, very welcome. During the game, there is no conversation. They can only say a few specific things like adjust before they adjust their pieces or offer a draw. But that's another story, and we'll cover it in a different video. You might hear that your child is going to play in O8 or G12 category. What does that mean? In here I will try to explain a little bit about age categories and how do you read those codes behind. The first question to figure out is why not G and B, why G and O? So why not girls and boys, why girls and open? Well, traditional category is always open, like in chess tournaments. But girls category was created to promote a little bit chess with girls, to help them win some prizes, to help them compete against their peers at the end of the day and win some prizes potentially. But if girls decided to go for it, they could also compete and play in the open tournaments. The main reason is that there are simply less girls, and very often the girls and women are playing in a very male-dominated environment. So chess championships are one option where they can actually play their peers more often. So age category is defined with two things. The first letter is O or G, meaning open and girls, that I just explained. The second part is the age. So O12 means what? 12 means below the 12 years of age on January 1st in the year of the championship. So that means in O12 category, the participants will mostly be 12 already, but they have not been 12 on January 1st. Now, that also means that anyone aged 8 can play in that category, but they would need to be very, very, very good. 90 plus 30 is the accepted standard of time control in most international championships and even national championships. Why so, and what does that even mean? 90 means 90 minutes at the beginning of the game per each player. 30 refers to the number of seconds that player receives as an increment after pressing the clock after every move. Why is exactly 90 plus 30 used in every single or most of international championships? It is simply the accepted standard that is being used. Now, standard or classical games is what we are talking. These are the long games lasting usually around 3-4 hours, or maybe quicker for younger opponents. Apart from these classical or standard games, you might find in chess rapid games, which are somewhere in the middle, blitz games, which are very fast, or online you could also find bullet, which is more an arcade game than chess. Standard games are played in events which are typically standalone, and very common is that there is only one game per day. Otherwise, a child might end up playing 8 hours in a single day, which is a bit too much. While rapid and blitz events you will always find combined, and they are played in a shorter time period, because a rapid tournament you can finish in 3 or 4 days, and blitz is usually 1 day is enough. At the top level, at the world championships, or if you follow top players of the day, you might hear about 90 minutes plus 30 seconds for the first 40 moves of the game, and then additional 30 minutes for the rest of the game. What does that mean? That is called 40th move, time control, when players receive extra time, but that is mostly used at the top level of chess, and it is not very often or at all used at junior and cadet championships. A child in my delegation once lost a game because of making 2 illegal moves. In standard games, 1 illegal move is allowed, the second one loses you the game. Children are maybe used to a little bit of a lighter regime on children's tournaments, on regular chess tournaments in their country. But on international chess championships, these rules are enforced very much. Also, your opponents will be very much aware of them because they are the best players from their respective countries. And they will know how to exploit your mistakes against you. What are the typical mistakes that can lead you to illegal moves in these competitions? The first one is using 2 hands for a move. If you, for example, play the move with 1 hand and then use another one to press the clock, that is considered illegal. You shouldn't do it. Same thing is with castling. If you take your king with 1 hand and then take your rook with another, that is an illegal move. That's not how you should do it. The move of castling is 1 hand, firstly king, and then rook on the other side. That's how it works. That's the only way. Also, some kids might be used to saying check during the game. Now, nobody will tell you it's an illegal move if you say something, but you shouldn't say that because the opponent might complain that you are annoying them. But if your child is used to hearing check when their king is attacked, they might miss a check when they don't hear it, and they might play an illegal move. And then they'll be forced to use that piece and put it in front of the king if they can, if there is a legal move for it, which is sometimes not very convenient. That is because of the touch move rule. Touch move rule means if you touch your piece, you have to play it if there is a legal chance to do so. If you touch opponent's piece, you have to take it if there is a legal chance to do so. Therefore, your child should be careful, not too quick, because in chess, there is no undo button. Entrance to the playing hall might seem like entrance to the airport sometimes. What exactly is going on? Security officers are there, big security gates with scanners, even manual scanning in some cases. That all is actually due to the advancement of technology and a little bit of its downside in chess that became visible in the past 10 years. Anyone today with a decent smartphone can actually beat a grandmaster. Why so? Because a decent smartphone can hold such a strong chess engine that can calculate better than the average grandmaster. Therefore, in every bigger competition, even in national competitions and especially the international ones, there are anti-cheating measures in place led by anti-cheating officers. There are 2 types of measures that you might encounter in those places. The first ones are physical, and those are the ones that I was describing a second ago. Security scanners at the entrance, at the exit from the tournament, sometimes even random ones. That can be and usually is in place, and it is managed by the security team of the championship. Therefore, you will hear from your head of delegation no personal watches, pens, and absolutely no parents allowed, maybe for the first round being the exception only. Second check, if something slips through the first one, second check is actually game analysis. So if someone figured out a brilliant way to cheat practically with the help of electronics, where this will be caught is the game analysis. So anti-cheating officers and arbiters will analyze the games after the games are played, and they will be able to catch if someone played too good and someone played inhuman moves. Anyhow, these measures are in place only to secure that your child gets a fair game and the competition is completely fair and they play against a human opponent. Nothing to worry about, just be aware there might be queues at the entrance to the playing hall. Thank you for watching. If you found this content interesting, please consider subscribing. There is more similar content on the international championships coming, where I will talk in more details about the event logistics and help you and your children prepare even better for these events. I am also preparing, and very soon I'm going to start adding dedicated videos on the biggest 3 events of the year. The first one being World Cadet Chess Championship in Almaty in Kazakhstan. That one is going to come out probably within a week. The second 2 events that I'm going to have a dedicated video on are World Junior Chess Championship in Durres and European Youth Chess Championship in Budva in Montenegro. In these videos, I'm going to give you not only the chess details and event logistics, but I'm going to be a little bit of a tourist guide because I've been to most of those places, and I'll be happy to share my insights and my tips on what are the things worth seeing and how can you get around these places easier.